off with the NFL. And right after we finished podcast last week, one of the big stories, JJ Watt was released from the Texans instead of trying to trade for someone.
This. Yeah, that was good, Sean.
Yeah, I was just like, I thought maybe they'd get something late, but obviously I think they've done JJ a solid. They've basically said, hey, you've been a great custodian for our club, for our team, and, we'll let you go. It's probably not great for the Texans overall.
I think, and we talked about them being a basket case last week. How can you let JJ Watt leave for nothing? You can't tell me they don't get a second round pick at the worst.
Even later, you can get a fourth round pick for him easy.
Exactly. Or there's been talking about the Steelers, and we'll probably approach that a bit later. But like the Steelers, someone with pick 30, or they're going to give you pick 30 for JJ Watt. Like you could have got something. Get something.
You could have got something versus nothing.
And JJ came out and he released this nice video on Twitter thanking the fans and thanking everything.
That was quite wholesome, actually.
But the whole chat was he said to them, all right, I want to release this video and be the one to tell them, we're doing you a solid, we're releasing you. They were the ones who announced it first. So, and apparently he was so pissed off at that he wasn't even able to be the one who released it. So they didn't do him a solid at all.
That's Houston being Houston at the moment. They're a basket case.
They're all over the shop. Yeah. So
we'll get to Sean Watson in a minute, but it's crazy. And following on from that, I think they've said at least a dozen teams, maybe up to 20 teams of the league are interested in JJ Watt, which is a good fair shout. I think JJ Watt, of course, will probably want to go to a team that's going to compete.
Yep. Obviously, a lot of chat around him going to the Pittsburgh Steelers to play alongside his brother.
The Browns have come. I think there's been one that's come out very recently.
He's a Wisconsin boy. Would he want to go to the Green Bay Packers? Word on the street is that the Steelers and the Packers may not have the cap room to afford him.
Yeah, and we'll get to. So there's been a lot of movement of some less. It's starting to start with free agency 3 weeks away. Guys are getting cut. So there's teams who have worked out, hey, the number is going to be maybe 180, 185. It's not going to be the 220 we thought. We need to clear space, and big name guys starting to move on or won't be extended or won't be re-signed. And there's a lot of them. We've only got a small subset of guys that have actually been cut, but there's a lot of movement.
Well, I think before we jump on, as of right now, I think there's 12 teams with 15 million cap right now. You think of JJ Watt, Texans just released him from a $17 million hit. He's obviously going to come down from that. He's 32.
But best still be double digits
behind him. It'll be a $10 million deal. Yeah. So the amount of teams that can afford him, I think it's 10 or 11. Right now, obviously, there's roster moves, as you say, Sean. Yeah. He's only going to want to go to a contender. So if it's someone like Jacksonville, he's not going to go there. He's not going to go anywhere like the Jets or anything. So all of a sudden, the teams that he's going to actually, he might think he's got, I've got the pick of the choice. But there might be 8. And again, they're all contenders. So he will go to a good team. He will make a team better. But
it wouldn't surprise me if he gets a deal that's maybe a bit more backloaded, where it's like take the Steelers for example. Let's say it's $7 million this year that he gets
incentive based, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe incentive based. Hey, we win a Super Bowl, we get more money. Maybe there's a decent signing bonus in it, which is then spread out through over back end years, which he may never actually play, but they can work it out then and make it future problem versus current problem, do a run. I think a few teams will definitely look at him like, hey, he's a piece we can add to then possibly make a run.
He's a beast in the middle and a pass rush. I've heard the Rams have been really keen. So imagine you put Aaron Donald and JJ Watt.
You got Brockers on the other side.
Exactly right. Like that's,
imagine that.
You're not running
Aaron
the ball.
Donald and JJ Watt.
So I mean, what's got to prioritize? Like obviously he wants to be contender. He wants to win the Super Bowl. That's one. How important do you want to play with you? I'm sure they want to play together, but how important is that? And then money.
Yeah.
Like we can sit here and say, you'd take the $4 million cap to go there. $4 million is a lot of money.
Yeah, like if anyone wants to give me $4 million or on the Esky $4 million, we'll take that.
And I've heard people say, he's made $100 million already in his career. Now it's time to win a Super Bowl. Well, again, that's coming from someone who obviously isn't getting offered $4 million.
That's right.
To earn it.
It's a lot of money.
I reckon that happens sooner rather than later. I think if you can afford JJ Watt,
yes. So someone's got to pick him up.
You get him in quick before teams do open up some space.
On that, Chicago Bears.
What's another good one? Yeah.
His missus plays for the Chicago Red Stars.
That's right.
Is that
they do have about 10 mil cap space.
Khalil Mack and JJ Watt.
True, but they got no quarterback. So
again, are they going to win?
They're not weren't a playoff team this year. They're a quarterback away.
It's almost like you've got a checklist where you can go through and say, are they in playoff contention? Well, I think you can rule that out.
All right, maybe we'll skip ahead because you've given me a great segue because it's come out a bit that Bears might be a front runner for Wentz. So maybe sorry to jump all over that. I meant to get on this earlier. He actually came out and said, I will not be playing for the Chicago Bears. Oh, there you go. So
he doesn't want to play.
He doesn't want to play for them?
Where do you think he ends up?
Well, Colts have offered two second-round picks for him. Eagles, I think, are still holding out for a Stafford-type deal, which is probably not going to happen, unfortunately, for them because Wentz is more on his regression, whereas Stafford's definitely shown, a decade of
I don't know if Wentz is on regression. Like, obviously, he had a shit season.
Oh, well, he's had since he got injured, leading into their Super Bowl year, he hasn't been real great since then. Like his numbers compared pre and post injury are very different.
Okay.
So if you bring him on, you're a club that thinks you can rehab him. Which maybe you put him with kind of good offensive line, get him some weapons that yes you can fix him up, but his rating I think in like a clean pocket was the worst this year.
I did hear that.
I think
he's definitely struggled this year.
I'm one of the people who are on an island here. And people, if you're a Philadelphia fan, you would hate him. If he's on the Colts, and I'll get into some bets I've put on later. But I think you can win with Carson Wentz. I think Philadelphia's roster right now stinks. Their receivers stink. Their offensive line was trash. Who's their running back?
Sanders
is good, but he's banged up.
Yeah.
Like, okay, and he can't play defense. Like, I reckon we've got a Ryan Tannehill on our hands. I think we can have a comeback. His money he's on to his production is awesome. That's always going to come into it. Being a bloke who had Joe Flacco as your quarterback, that's what's going to happen. Yes. You say you're making this much and you're doing this. That's wrong.
Which I think is one of the issues with Wentz is his cap number is ginormous. It's more than Stafford's was. So,
that's why teams aren't going to give you a Matt Stafford deal to bring on that number for that. No. So Philadelphia have no leverage there. And I think, and Hurts could be anything, but I don't think there's much there.
That Ryan Tannehill comparison is very interesting because you have to think back when he was on the Dolphins. People used to heap that much shit on him.
Yeah, he's used to it.
He was the problem. They needed to draft someone. He sucks.
8th overall pick. He stinks. And now all of a sudden, MVP candidate. Look what he can do with Derrick Henry because
it does help
you've got a 2,000-yard rusher behind you. You're in an environment which suits you.
Yeah, unbelievable running back and a reasonable offensive
and a good
line.
System. You've got A.J. Brown and Corey Davis on the outside. Like, they've got weapons.
They won the Super Bowl with their backup quarterback. So their team was sick. They obviously had a very good team. They've lost a lot of pieces. Their team is banged up. They paid the wrong people.
Line was decimated.
Yeah, exactly right.
Coach is gone. So yeah.
So I think Philadelphia are spiraling down. They're going to want to try and get something back for Carson Wentz. I am telling you, if the Colts can land Carson Wentz, that's a good team.
Yeah, I think so too.
Their roster is stacked.
Already,
they won't have to give up much for him. I thought the Bears were a perfect fit for him, but he said he doesn't want to play. I don't know why he's calling the shots, but
he may have a no trade clause in his contract.
It could be something that when you get paid something that big, I imagine
it wouldn't surprise
you
me,
put stuff in there as well. Speaking of Deshaun Watson, lovely segue.
I know. Well, I think we need to finish off on this. JJ, this tweet about it. His support of his brother winning Defensive Player of the Year award. Well, possibly thought he had more tackles, more sacks, more tackles for loss, and more pass knockdowns than Donald did this year, but of course Aaron Donald won this award. What are your boys' thoughts? Well,
I think JJ, the caption was, "I'm just going to say what my brother won't say," which
is good. But and they're pretty good. They've got a bit of banter online. They've never actually played on the same field together.
Really?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So they grew up together. Went to the same college. JJ is quite a bit older, but never.
Where do they go to college?
Wisconsin.
They
both went to
They're both Wisconsin.
They're from Wisconsin, so
Yeah.
that's why I think the Packers are.
I think JJ's 6 years older than him.
Rogers tweeted.
There's a fair gap between.
Rogers tweeted something about JJ Watt coming. He put out a tweet today or yesterday saying free agency is insane or free agency is awesome. So his phone would be blowing up. Imagine all the people. Like we said, he's a pretty outgoing guy. He's fun. He'd have a mates in the league.
Put out the cheese.
My only thinking on this was it's probably a problem for Aaron Donald just because he's in comparison. Like he won Defensive Player of the Year this year, but when he won it, not last year, but the year before.
Before Stephen Gilmore.
Yeah. That season compared to this season is so much better. So like he's a product of his own, it's an error of his own success. Like,
and
you compare the two and go,
more,
well, this one wasn't as great as that one, so why is he winning the award when guys like TJ? I think Xavier Howard was probably hard down by first guy in 12 years. I think he worked it out to take 10 picks.
Yeah, double-digit picks. Sometimes you do get held to your own account, I suppose, there, Sean. I think also you have to think that sport in general, as much as we like to analyse numbers, it's not just numbers.
Exactly right.
This guy gets a double team, he gets a triple team every single snap.
There is that,
and that's when the analytics
different to
come
what
in.
TJ does.
The percentage, like that's obviously they're the Madden stats that come up.
Yes.
And TJ Watt's insane. I think he was runner up. JJ Watt's his brother, of course. Who's JJ Watt going to think wins defensive player?
He's his big brother.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't think that's a knock on anything. I think it's just interesting that. The Pittsburgh fans are really excited, like, oh my God, we're going to have 2 Watts on our offensive line. Your offense needs work, I'll tell you that much in Pittsburgh, but don't worry about that.
Yes. Well, there's still talk about Big Ben and, his contract's going to have to come down a substantial number if they want to keep him. So we'll have to follow that and see how that goes.
Be interesting to see what happens there.
Yes,
Trevor Lawrence.
They've got nothing else otherwise. Actually, I think Deshaun Watson was the next. Macca
wanted
to talk about.
Yeah, we were talking about Deshaun Watson and obviously all this trade noise that's coming up. He was caught in Miami partying with a few of his old Clemson teammates, and Miami are rumored to be the front runners for Watson. And you think about that team, they won 10 games this year, missed out on the playoffs. Tua were not quite what we think, which I think is harsh.
He's developing. Let's be
exactly. He's played 9 games. Like we got to give these guys a little bit more time. However, if you can get Deshaun Watson in the door, so here's a proposed deal for you: pick 3, which the Dolphins have; pick 18, which the Dolphins have; and Tua for Deshaun.
Ooh.
Do you do that deal?
I think it's not enough. And the reason I say it is, yes, I'd go more first-round picks. And my issue is those first-round picks are in this year's draft. I'd want to move them into subsequent drafts.
Oh, you pick 3 in this draft. I'd take that every day of the week. You get Penei Sewell. He's a gun left tackle. The beauty for the Dolphins is pick 3 came from the Houston Texans for Larry Tunsil. So that's essentially a free pick for them. So that's what I think Houston would say, no, we need more because we're actually not gaining anything from that pick. We're getting back our own pick.
And Stafford, of course, went for, what was his? He was 2 and 3.
Again, the golf contract made way too much. This is a bloke who says, I'm not playing for you.
Yeah.
They don't have to do anything yet. They don't have to move. Free agency's a while away. The draft's a while away.
They definitely said they want to do, like, well, we're not trading him, blah, blah, blah.
They can wait, and they will wait. Yeah.
It's going to be, like you say, it's the supply and demand. Like, there's going to be a lot of demand, but since Watson kind of controls where he can go, he's that demand then gets diminished, which then means
exactly right. So it needs to sort of say, will you go to Miami? Yes, you'll go to Miami. Okay, well, that's what we have to lock into. That's what we can get the best back.
Yeah.
Carolina in the mix for Deshaun Watson. They've got that new owner who's a billionaire. He wants to win now. He wants to be splashy.
Exactly. They're looking to move Teddy.
Exactly, but does he want to go to? Does he want to leave Houston, who are a basket case, and go to Carolina, who
slightly better? But you got CMC, but if he's healthy,
and then outside of that, they've got a young defense which is coming. Yeah, and not anytime soon. Like I don't think he adds 5 wins to Carolina. No. They were 5-11 team. They're not going to have any draft picks to add to that. So I think Miami is smart. I would that was the betting I was putting on earlier. I put a multi on the Colts and Miami to win their respective divisions. Got juicy $9 for that. So stay tuned on the Esky, and I'll be buying some new podcast gear for the boys.
Very good. Moving on. So Trevor Lawrence. There's pro days coming up. Most of the pro days are actually in March. Trevor Lawrence brought his forward. Had a workout on Tuesday, I think it was. He measured in a little bit lighter than people thought. He was
213.
6'6", 213. I think what they're saying, because he had this workout earlier because he needed shoulder surgery on his left shoulder, which is his non-throwing shoulder. Mm-hmm. The thinking is maybe he couldn't lift weights, so he couldn't have maintained his weight or put on a little bit of weight. I think they're thinking he's maybe going to be more like 220. But even still, he's a little bit lean. So look to see him maybe towards the draft. And, I don't think they'll remeasure him, actually, now I think about it, because he's going to take 6 to 8 weeks until he's recovered. Then it's probably going to be another 4 to 5 months until he actually gets clearance to throw again. Surgery, I think I saw a report surgery went well. He's recovering fine. It's looking like he will be right for the start of the season, for the start of training camp. It's quite interesting watching the workout because Urban Meyer is standing like 3 yards in front of him watching every single pass. So it looks like, it's not a guy going down to the dealership for the first time. He's there taking the car out for a drive. I think he's ready. He's all in.
Oh, yeah.
Lawrence looks
dropping bombs.
Yeah, he looks really good. My concerns watching this was his footwork was probably a little bit slow. I'm nitpicking here. Footwork a little bit slow, but you get that a little bit with the taller guys, a bit more gangly. Arm strength, he didn't throw a ball over 50 yards from throwing to catching, but it's still plenty. You're not going to throw it.
One of those last couple.
Yeah, they're nice. They're nice.
You sure?
Yeah, I did the math.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I've got no concerns with his arm strength.
The throwing power on the seams, the posts, there's 20, 30 yards throws, absolutely excellent.
Look at that.
He can zip it in. Yeah. So maybe he's not going to throw a 70, 80-yard bomb like Mahomes or Josh Allen is.
I don't think quite their arm strength.
Different. Yeah, it's different quarterback.
Different type of quarterback, though. Yes.
If you remember that. And I've just taken piss, so you may have talked about it. The national championship 2 years ago, he had about halfway and he ran away from everyone, scored a touchdown, and was outrunning defensive backs. Like, he is an athletic.
He is very athletic
beast, and that hair.
Oh my goodness!
The biggest news story will be when he actually cuts his hair short, and we'll have to see if that ever
reminiscent
happens.
of Sunshine of remember the Titans.
Well, remember Tom Brady had long hair for a little while.
Ryan Gosling.
Gosling was
he was in the movie.
He was in the movie, different position.
Get on with that bottle.
It'll be interesting to see. God, I forgot what I was going to say.
Lawrence, you got lost in his hair. I understand. We're only human. You just had a look at him,
flicking those golden locks.
He is the.
I do remember now.
Urban Meyer doesn't take this job if they aren't picking
he's
Trevor
there,
Lawrence.
like.
Exactly.
In the group, he's watching it very, very
If you
closely.
are a team other than the Jaguars and you're watching this, you just wanted to hang out at Clemson, or you wanted to watch the receivers catching the ball.
There's Urban there.
Because there's no point watching Trevor Lawrence because you're not going to get him. The Jaguars.
Jordan Palmer, of course, the quarterback coach.
Yeah. He's a bit of a guru. Carson's brother, college analyst. He's worked with... He worked with Josh Allen, in that off year. Apparently, he's working with Lamar this year, which gets everyone excited in this room. Lawrence couldn't be closer to a lock first round pick. There's no point. It's like the Jets are on the clock with pick 2.
Yeah,
because it's.
You'd think so. Yeah.
If the Jaguars take up that whole 15 minutes or whatever they get, it's bullshit.
So they just showed his record there, 32-2. 2 of those losses, of course. Did he lose? No. 2 of those losses, one this year, of course, to Ohio not making it into the national championship, and then the other one losing in the national championship. Only
LSU.
Against LSU. So in the last 3 years, his first year of starting is the year they won.
He won as a freshman, lost in the Natty to Joe Burrow and LSU, and then lost in the
to Justin Fields.
So that
what do you think his big game potential is? as I'm just thinking, is possibly one criticism as like a leader of a team like Clemson, one of the best teams in college football. He didn't have a great game against Ohio. He started off well against LSU, but then LSU came on real strong in the second half, and they just couldn't stay with them. So just maybe that's one of his criticisms is his big game potential. But
it's not bad. I don't hate that because it's been so perfect. But I think you get nitpicky with when he's such a home run. You go, well, he made the natty and didn't go great. And
I was just nitpicking. His footwork's probably a little bit slow compared to like. If you watch Peyton Manning's footwork, it's
100%. And this is what happens, and it's currently happening with sort of Zach Wilson is the hot thing. So he's coming up, whereas Trey Lance was the hot thing. He hasn't played. He's going down
and playing in a lower division.
FCS. So we're criticizing Trevor Lawrence on 2 losses. There, he's 2 losses. Like you want to talk about big game potential? He's lost 2 games. So I like it's completely different games again, college. But. Yeah, I'm so excited to see this. I hate seeing basket cases in any league.
He doesn't come across as like a Ryan Leaf or Jamarcus Russell.
No.
I think you're going to be all right in that regard.
He changes this team, and again, we talk about the Texans being a basket case. Now you add Trevor Lawrence into this division. This is why the Colts bet is looking good, boys. I'm telling you. Like the Jags will be all right, but they've got a rookie quarterback.
They need to buy well, I'd say, in free agency and draft well, and then we can discuss whether they can bounce back. And maybe they're a 10-6 kind of team.
Yeah, so we'll like they've got a rookie quarterback, a rookie head coach.
Let's go like 15 minutes.
So cool. It's cool to see. Like this guy could be the next Peyton Manning, which would be awesome. Like and then we get to watch him. That's just what I get excited about. So there you go. He had more rushing touchdowns than interceptions.
That's ridiculous.
That's not bad for your quarterback.
And I think it is a bit nitpicky as well, Sean, going back to his big game potential. It's a small sample size. It's 2 games.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He won the natty as a freshman.
Yeah. There's 50 something other guys out there that are on the same side.
Exactly. The quarterback does a lot, but he can't do everything.
I think any Trevor Lawrence hate is devil's advocate.
Oh, absolutely. But it's needed. Yeah. It's needed in the room.
You want to analyse. You want to.
Yeah. We can say he's not absolutely perfect.
No.
So, he's pretty bloody close.
Fucking close.
He's fucking close.
Yeah. So
I think he got engaged as well and is due to get married very, very soon too.
Congratulations.
Come on, man. Like, God. What are you getting married now for? You're about to hit your prime. God, imagine the numbers this man could put up. I'm sorry, but God.
You wonder I think he's been with his missus a long time as well.
Sweetheart.
She must be a hell of a woman. But
otherwise his body count would be astronomical.
With that hair. But I guess talking about the next level, who in the NFL currently is sort of
is it Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah.
Well, this is probably one of the issues for Trevor is tall quarterbacks haven't been overly successful. Like Peyton at 6'5" was one of the few of the bigger, but guys that usually go over that 6'6", 6'7".
Yeah. Well, Mike Glennon.
6'6".
Mike Glennon,
first one that comes to mind for me.
Again, I think we're nitpicking,
but
those guys you talk about can't move in the
Tom Brady's 6'4".
Yeah.
Yes. We're talking about 5 centimetres here. We're talking about 2 inches.
And all those guys can't move in the pocket. Like I'm telling you,
2
this
inches
guy
is important.
has wheels.
2 inches.
Oh, here we go. Sean's been very R-rated this this
if you add 2 inches, it might bring it to 3.
Here we are, wedding week.
Anyway. Sarah, if you're listening, well done, darling.
Yeah, 2 hours. Good job.
You're locked in for another 55, 60 years. Congratulations to you.
Trevor Lawrence, he will be good for the next 15 years.
Let's stop man crushing over Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
All right.
What else has happened? Kawan Short?
Yeah, Kawan Short has played 8 seasons.
Hall of Famer.
8 seasons for Panthers. He's been to Pro Bowl 3 of those. He's only played 5 games, though, in the last 2 years, so he's officially been released by the Panthers.
Injury ravaged.
Trying to move on. One of the first big signings, as in contract-wise, All-Pro kicker for Jason Sanders for the Miami Dolphins signed a 5-year, $22 million extension through to 2026.
I think that makes
for
him,
the brand.
I think that makes him the 3rd highest paid kicker ever.
Marvelous job, though.
Congratulations to you.
I don't think he missed a kick this year. I mean, we don't need to spend too much time talking about kickers, but he was lights out this year.
Wow.
There was a cool...
Kickers are people too, Joseph.
No, they are not. Hey, I've got the greatest kicker of all time, and no. Outside of Justin Tugger, I don't want to talk about tickers.
I think it's a great deal for him.
Tickers.
Sorry, I got a tick.
It's a great deal for him, I guess, coming into also with the cap number possibly reintroduced, like getting his before that all becomes official was a great
For
move for
Deshaun
him.
Watson side.
So a few kind of big names. There's multiple, actually. There's a whole bunch of reports about teams like they're probably not going to resign guys just because of where they are and where, the numbers wise. So there's going to be a lot of veterans, it looks like, available for free agency, which is going to make free agency very, very interesting.
Bit saucy.
Two names to kind of pick out was Patrick Peterson, who didn't have a great year, unfortunately, for the Cards. I think he, PFF had him like 90 out of 130 corners.
PF.
Yeah. That's if you follow PFF. But sounds like the Cards may not re-sign him, so he could be on the market. 31 years old, so a little bit old for a corner, but
he's definitely slowed down.
As you do at that age, but he's still
veteran talent,
in my opinion.
Get him as
he's one we were talking about last week. I think he's one who could shift to safety and actually read the field a lot well. I mean, he's got the history of
got some size,
kicking, return kicks. Yep. Like he's got that vision,
and he's quite a large corner.
Yeah.
You'd think,
I think he could play number 2 on a team easily.
Yeah.
If give someone else the premier wide receivers, and he's going to lock down whoever your number 2 is. And maybe try to transition him to safety. See how that goes.
What's going on with Allen Robinson? Because he has been the shining light on a otherwise dormant Chicago Bears.
Maybe
offense.
another reason why Wentz said I'm not going to play for the Bears, because it sounds like the Bears are not going to look to offer him a long-term extension. Maybe again, cap number.
Money. Yeah. Like
money.
you said, they've got 10 million. They've got 10 million. He'll make money on the open market. I think he's
good. He's a
good.
legitimate receiver.
And he's come from Jacksonville. Who was throwing the ball to him? Who was it? Blake Bortles.
Yeah.
Now Mitch Trubisky's throwing the ball, and look, if you look at his numbers. He's got great numbers with those guys throwing him the ball. If he lands on, a Ravens or something, he could make,
Paging Green Bay Packers. Paging Green Bay Packers.
Packers the perfect kind of position for him, but
money will be for him.
Yeah,
you're going to have to pay Allen Robinson.
He wants to get paid.
He's in the prime. He'll make $15 million. Yeah. Someone it's gross, but like the Jets have the most money. They'll throw it at him. But if they get Justin Fields, that's attractive. They've got, I don't know. The Jets seem to have pieces. They've got lots of draft picks this year as well. So, they're two of the bigger names.
So, interesting story. The next one up, the Pouncey brothers have decided to retire together, both aged at 31.
Fancy the twins.
They're not just brothers. They're
Twins.
Kept someone over there.
Of course, drafted in different years.
a couple. I'm getting married in 2 days. Jeez, we'll enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, some freedom. So drafted.
Run us through this, Sean.
Yeah, drafted a year apart. How do you say? Is it Marquise?
Marquise.
Yeah.
That's very
Marquise.
Got it.
Come on. I was like, I can do Mike.
Can't say Brait.
Yeah. Marquise. He was drafted 18th overall in 2010 out of Florida, of course. He spent his whole season at the Steelers. Was probably considered the premier of the two brothers, but both have had great careers. He had 134 games, 9 Pro Bowls. He's been banged up. I think Mike was the one that had more injuries, so I'd have to double check. One of them's got really bad hips.
Yeah, I think it was Mike. I think
Mike's had the bad hips. He was drafted in 15th overall in 2011, taking 3 spots ahead of where his brother was. Mm-hmm. Of course, out of Florida. He played for the Dolphins and then played this year, I think, at the Chargers, but didn't play very much for them. He played 114 games total, 4 Pro Bowls. So I wonder if it was just like, he's done and he's like, hips are done. I don't think I can keep going. And his brother's like, yeah, well, I've made money.
They are very close.
They're very close. It's like, let's go do some other shit and do it together.
They're part of that, and it's that wild Florida team coming out of college. It had Aaron Hernandez, these boys.
Ed Reed and Ray Lewis.
Yeah, can you believe it or not?
Shout out.
That's good. Sean's on. Here we go. It's wedding week, baby.
Yeah, let's go.
Who do we have? The Pouncies, Aaron Hernandez, and there's gang relations there. There was that Riley Cooper who got booted out for racism.
Yes.
Cam Newton was on there.
Yep.
As the backup, and Tim Tebow and Holy was their leader. Like that.
Our Lord and Savior.
And Urban Meyer was the coach. So like that was their college. That's
a shit hot Florida team.
Yeah. They won back to back.
Yeah, they won back to back.
So,
Yes,
I guarantee you they both decided that together.
Yeah.
We're done. Like they're that close. So
I think both clubs, so the Steelers definitely, I think were a bit shell-shocked by this because they're losing their starting centre. Chargers were probably looking as Mike to hopefully come back and be a centrepiece for them.
But again, 31, and we're talking about it. It's earlier. I mean, when you're not Tom Brady or Drew, when you're a quarterback and you're a coach on the field, these players are getting banged every single play. I'm putting my head down and getting hit.
Yep.
I've made my, $60 million. I've probably invested it well. I'm good. I'm set for life.
Yep.
I'm going to go enjoy life. I'm still 31. I can still actually go travel and enjoy.
How many offensive snaps does an offensive team take every year?
8 or 900.
I think it's over 1,000.
Well, depends.
Depends on how good your offense is, I guess.
800. I'd say 800.
So you're talking between 8 to 1,000 times a year that you're having to, block someone
You're
like
getting
Aaron
handed in
Donald,
the face.
JJ Watt.
And your head, you're at the center, your head's down. It's coming to me. You've got to be the coach.
You might have a big nose tackle over the top of you.
And no one gives you the love that the quarterback gets as well. You know what? It's actually not worth it.
Everyone knows your name when you stuff up, but no one knows your name when you do it.
Exactly. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you're good when no one knows who you are. Yeah. So
that's why we'd like to shout out the Pouncey brothers on an excellent
definitely
career.
Exactly right.
13 Pro Bowls between the two of them. Yeah. Enjoy retirement, boys.
Would you put
50 to 60 snaps on average per game?
I reckon a good offense would average 60.
Yes.
So
I think the Chiefs are averaging easy
600, 960,000.
Yeah, close to 1,000.
I think
if you play every snap, it's close to 1,000 a year.
Well,
it's a lot of banging heads.
Yep. That's 10,000 collisions in a 10-year career.
Do you reckon you'd put the Pouncey brothers into the Hall of Fame together?
I don't think Mike.
I don't think. No offense. Separately you would, but would you put them together?
Oh, together. Well, if you've played 13 Pro Bowls, you have to go to the. You have to go to the Hall of Fame.
One rips off the mask. I've been one player all along.
We played twice a week.
More keys. I don't think either of these guys will end up in the Hall of Fame. But
if you're into it as an interior offensive lineman, you have to be transit.
Indeed. An interesting shout. Twins in the NFL.
Go for it.
Twins, Basil.
There's a couple. There's three currently. Shaquille and Shaquem Griffin.
Yep.
Obviously Seattle Seahawks defensive backs, and Devin and Jason McCourty also both on the Patriots.
Yep.
And then Jacob and Cody Hollister, I believe, also both on the Patriots. I think all the twins, they stick together.
Basil. Seattle? No.
Jacob's with Seattle at the moment.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of Cody Hollister before again.
No, neither have I. I think he's a wide receiver. He looks a lot like his brother.
The twin looks like his brother. You're wild. I won't
strong jaw lines. Very strong.
Cody is a wide receiver with the Titans at the moment.
Oh, Titans 0 for 2.
Yeah.
Hey, Titans like to poach Patriots players.
True. Well, they got Vrabel there. So
even those who didn't play the Patriots.
They do like to. He was on the Patriots. Look that up.
I think that's enough chat for twins.
We should move to a sadder story.
Yeah, much sadder story. So it was found out during the week that Vincent Jackson had passed away at the age of 38. He was found in a hotel in Brandon, Florida.
Which is Tampa, I believe.
Yes, it sounds like he was down there possibly for the whole playoff run and the Super Bowl and that. Of course, did he play for the Bucs at all?
Yeah,
he did.
He did.
Before he played for the Chargers. Sounds like he was staying in this hotel for about over a month. Was meant to check out at some point, didn't happen. So his family was put in a missing person. Like, hey, he's been missing. And it's like, well, he checked in this hotel last. Of course, that's where they found him. They found him in the hotel room. So running through some of his stats, like he's absolute physical specimen. We were talking about
Megatron the other week, and we were trying to find a comparison, and I think we really mulled over the fact that Vincent Jackson is
Vinny.
Pretty fucking close. 6'5", 240 for our Aussie listeners. Try and imagine someone that's like the size of an elite NRL prop.
Yep.
But he's as quick as the quickest fullback in the NRL.
Yes.
He was 6'5", 240, ran a 4.4 640. He was an unreal specimen, and he actually slipped down to the second round, I believe. Or can you see when he was drafted?
Yeah, he was second round.
So I think he was a second round pick from the Chargers. Had 12 seasons in the NFL, mostly with Los Angeles Chargers, and finished up, I think, maybe 4 seasons at the Bucks. Yep. 3-time Pro Bowler, over 9,000 yards, 57 touchdowns. Mate, he was...
He was a great player, yeah. Phil Rivers, that was the connection, but like the pre-Keenan Allen days was Vincent Jackson chucking up. Antonio Gates inside.
Gates was there.
I think he had a bit of LT time. He was part of that Chargers team, we thought, and with Marty Schottenheimer last week. We were talking about him. Like that was a very good team. That again, it's one of those teams that just one thing went wrong, they don't win a Super Bowl. They had Peyton Manning and Tom Brady to deal with. They were always seemed to be the third best team. So he was. As a physical specimen, great wide receiver.
I think he must have retired at probably around 35, so he's only been out of the league a couple of years.
And it's very sad. It's very sad when anyone passes away, but when someone passes at the age of 38,
So the sheriff has come out today saying that it looks like he'd suffered from chronic alcoholism and that potentially he'd been dealing with CTE for quite a while.
Which isn't confirmed just
Not confirmed yet. I think it's, as his family's kind of said it, like, yes, he's whether it was CTE, whether it was more depression, but he's had his mental struggles and mental battles.
Perhaps some
turned to the bottle a little bit more than you'd think.
Yeah.
So which is unfortunate.
That's just, it's so sad, isn't it? Someone that accomplished, and
you definitely see it with players that retire that they can go off the rails because they lose. Again, we're talking about support systems before. Like they lose their identity and what they're all about, what they've been doing for probably 30 odd years. In the case of Vinny, if he starts real young, it's a very big change. If you've got nothing around you, then you can just go off the rails and lose yourself a bit.
Did you read any of the report?
So some of the initial report of when they found Vinny, they talked very much about they're investigating it, of course, because a bloke that dies 38, a physical specimen. We're talking about that. It's a bit interesting, but they said in the initial report there was no signs of trauma. So that obviously doesn't mean
no foul play.
Doesn't look like there's foul play in that point, and it doesn't look like of course if you rule out some of the other methods for suicide as well because there's no form of trauma. So they got to do an autopsy, look into it, which it leads to
some kind of overdose.
Yeah, well, the two options is he's probably either he's overdosed from something, or maybe like his chronic alcoholism, or maybe something his body's given up on him. Like has he suffered a unfortunate stroke or a heart attack or something like that? You'd think he's probably in shape, and those two things would rule out, which leads you to the other option, which again is still very unfortunate for the situation for him and of course his family. So
it's so heavy, isn't it?
And again, it's more common. We're talking about it every week here. It's something new. Again, keep it out in the open. If you are listening, if you are struggling, talk to that support network.
Talk to people.
Everyone's got someone. Talk to anyone. God,
just raise it. Just
write in the comments. We will get in touch with you. In all honesty, seriously, it's sometimes you just need to say this stuff out loud. You need to just hear this stuff. Obviously, this guy was a multi-millionaire who had the greatest life ever, and dead before he's 40. So, God, if you are listening, if this voice is the one that trust you to tell someone, just do it. Do it.
Yep. Talk to your friends.
100%.
Check in on your friends. It's fucking incredibly sad that this happens, but let's just focus on how good a football player he was, and
absolutely well said, Pep.
Hopefully, his
some good can come from this as well.
Like good and
more research, more support.
Yeah, hopefully
for those
his family's holding up okay, but incredibly sad story there.
Yes, definitely.
Well said.